Hola designers! Welcome back to the second episode of Basic Micro Interactions using Invision Studio. In the description down below you'll find a link to Dropbox. You can download the file over here and you'll see that it's a sketch file, but you can open this in Invision Studio. Just right click on it in your Finder and say open with, and Studio will be one of the options. And once you open it, you'll see something like this. So in the first episode we played around a little bit with basic shapes. We're going to apply some of these concepts on today's web page design. Let's get started. On the left you will see a styles artboard. It's a tiny little artboard where I just collected some colors, which are actually Pantone's colors of the year from the past 4 years, with some hex values that we're going to use to be able to change the colors per screen. What we want to be doing is, there we go. We want to be able to click on the navigation items, go to that particular year, and the color swatch here on the big square rectangle should change to that color. The underline of the navigation should also move and change color based on that particular color of the year. The text box below should change to the actual name of the color, and the logo should link back to home, which in this scenario is this page that we're looking at right now, the 2020 classic blue page. So first of all, let's duplicate the screen. And I made this styles here on the left, so what you can easily do is select the big rectangle on the second screen and you hold Control C, and it activates the color picker. You can go to the styles artboard and pick the living coral color. And this way it becomes also easier to do the underline on the navigation items, because now we can just select that bar, use Control C again and color pick from there. And we need this underline to move a little bit to the right, so it's actually under 2019. I'm just holding my shift key and the arrows, and let's zoom in a little bit. I think that's centered. Yep, and there we go. And at the bottom of the page we have the text box. This color is called Living Coral. And these are the changes that we want to do to each of these pages. So we change the color block, the rectangle, the underline of the navigation item, and the name of the actual color. And honestly, we can create a first interaction. It was that simple. Now, apply a little trick here. If we were to select this text box to make an interaction with, the area that the user can click is quite small. And a clickable area should be at least 44 by 44 pixels in width and height for the user to be able to click it. So we're going to trick it a little bit. What we're going to do on the first artboard is we're going to draw a little rectangle on top of 2019. And we're going to make sure that the height is at least 44 pixels. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm just going to place it on top of the 2019. I quickly use the numbers on my keyboard to change the opacity so I can quickly see if it's aligned. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect because we're going to hide this rectangle anyway. But the numbers on the keyboard are a really nice shortcut to play with opacity of a selected element. If I press 0, it's back to 100%. And the numbers 1 through 9 stand for 10%, 20%, 30%, etc. So we're going to create this rectangle on top of the navigation item because it's basically going to be our hotspot. And this is the actual element that's going to have the interaction trigger applied to it. So with this rectangle on top of 2019, we're going to press C on the keyboard and we're going to take it to the second artboard. The trigger can be click. We're going to navigate to the next artboard and let's use motion. So we have a nice and smooth transition. And we're going to use a duration of 0.5 seconds. And let's press save. Now, of course, we don't want this gray rectangle to actually show. So therefore, we're going to set the opacity to 0. And there we go. We kind of faked having a hotspot here. And we're going to apply the same on this artboard, but then back. So we're going to draw this new rectangle here. And remember, at least 44 pixels in height and width. And I'm quickly going to play with the opacity. There we go. There we go. And this one is going to go back to the first artboard. We're going to use the same interaction. We want the back and forth to have the same animation applied to it. We're going to say save. And on top of that, I also want the logo, I want that to link to the first artboard as well, so we can always go home independent of which screen we're in. So with the logo selected, we're also connecting that to the first artboard with a trigger set to click, a motion, and also 0.5. And we're going to hit save. And let's not forget to set the opacity to 0 on this rectangle. So basically this should already work. Let's check it out. We're selecting the first artboard and pressing Command P to preview. And there we go. The underline has a nice flow to it, the way it moves under the active menu item, and the way it color transitions is pretty smooth. So we're going to repeat this process for all the other pages as well. It's pretty basic, but it's a nice way to kind of understand how the software works and how micro interactions work. We can simply just take the second artboard and press Command D to duplicate. And I'm going to use the same trick as before. I'm going to select the big rectangle on the third screen, press Ctrl C for the color picker, and we're going to go to purple. I forgot the name of this one. I think violet, vibrant violet, ultraviolet. There we go. Ultraviolet in the text box. And the active state of the navigation item, so the underline should move over. And again, Ctrl C to pick the color. And let me check what we have for these invisible rectangles. So we have the first one. Just want to make sure it is linked to artboard number 1. Great. And this one as well. Remember the logo? We also wanted to always go back to artboard number 1, which is the home. And then on the second artboard, we need to create another rectangle of 2018. That is gonna link to this one. The triggers click, motion 0.5 and hit save. And let's not forget to set the opacity to 0. We don't want to see it, it's just as a hotspot. Okay, cool. And then from this page, we need a new one for 2019. I don't know why it's stuck on 34 pixels. If I go over, yeah, I figured. I guess because it's aligned with the underline. I can also manually add here the value for the height of the shape. And that's gonna link back to Living Coral, to the second artboard. Opacity to 0. And we need one on 2017, but it needs to link to the next artboard, which we don't have yet. So we're selecting the purple one, Command D. And it's pretty cool that all the interactions just copy over as well, because that saves us from a lot of work. So in 2017, we're going to click here. Again, 43. Should be at least 44. And this one is linking to the last artboard. Click and motion 0.5. Opacity back to 0. And of course we should change the color as well. So the purple rectangle in the last screen should be green. Let me check the name of that color. Something with greenery. Ah, just greenery. I thought there was another word. No. So in the text box below, greenery. And the underline has to move over and also be green, of course. Control C to activate the color picker. And holding Shift and the arrow keys, we can just move it over. And we need another rectangle. I should really just zoom in more to make my life easier. Cool. And this one is going to link back to the violet one. There we go. Opacity to 0. I think we're missing only a few interactions. So here we have all the items, all the non-active ones are clickable. Logo is clickable, perfect. Over here we have 2017 has a hotspot, 2019 and 2020. And then here, 2020, the only thing we don't have here yet from 2019, we can't click 2017 yet because we don't have an interaction there. So while we're at it, we might as well just finish it. All right, so this one is gonna go all the way to the end. Opacity to 0. So we have 2020 here, 2018, 2017. And then last we have to create 2018 and 2017 on the first artboard. Just a simple rectangle. Press C. And this is going to go to violet. We press save. And on the home screen, the 2020 screen, one less rectangle for greenery. So this is going to link to the last one, motion 0.5, and the opacity to 0. This should do the trick. Let's check it out. Selecting the first artboard and pressing Command P to preview. Look at that. We can now also skip over from the beginning to the end. And this is now functioning like it actually would on a website with very minimal effort. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We're going to do more in the future, so please subscribe to the channel and I'll hope to see you back soon.